Story 1. I've been working at this coffee shop downtown for about 3 years now. It's a small, independently owned place that sits tucked between a bookstore and a vintage clothing shop. The owner is a sweet older lady who treats her employees like family. The pay isn't great, but the tips are decent, and I get free coffee, which is essential for a college student trying to balance classes and work. My journey to this particular coffee shop wasn't exactly planned. After my parents divorced during my sophomore year of high school, money got tight. My mom did her best, but her teaching salary could only stretch so far. When it came time for college, I knew I'd have to work to support myself. I started at a big chain coffee place, but the corporate environment drained my soul. When I found this small shop with its mismatched furniture and local artwork on the walls, it felt like home. Most of our customers are regulars, people who live or work nearby and stop in for their daily caffeine fix. We know their orders by heart, chat about their lives, and create a little community. It's what makes the job bearable on tough days. Then there's the woman I'll call Karen. She started coming in about 2 months ago. From day one, she made it clear she considered herself superior to everyone else. She'd cut in line, speak loudly on her phone while ordering, and never, ever tip. But the worst part was her constant demands for freebies. "You should give loyal customers rewards," she'd say, despite having only visited a handful of times. My coworkers and I would exchange looks but stay professional. Our boss had a strict "customer is always right" policy. Within reason, we'd politely explain our punch card system: buy 10 drinks, get 1 free, but Karen always scoffed at this. "Other places just give me free drinks because they know me," she'd say. The day everything went down started like any other. It was a Wednesday morning, and we had our usual pre-work rush. I'd been on shift since 5:30 a.m., and by 8 o'clock, I was riding a wave of caffeine and forced cheerfulness. The line was about 5 people deep when Karen walked in. She was wearing a beige pantsuit and had her hair pulled back in a tight bun. Instead of joining the back of the line, she walked straight to the counter, cutting in front of everyone. "Me? I'm sorry, ma'am, but there's a line. I'll be with you as soon as I can." "Karen." Loud sigh, "I'm in a hurry. These people won't mind." I glanced at the line. The man at the front, a regular who worked at the bank down the street, rolled his eyes but didn't say anything. Behind him was a woman I didn't recognize, and behind her was a tall man in casual clothes who seemed to be watching the situation with unusual interest. "Me, I understand you're in a rush, but I need to serve these customers first. It'll just be a few minutes." "Karen, do you know who I am? I come here all the time." "Me, yes, I recognize you, but our policy is to serve customers in the order they arrive." She huffed but stepped back, tapping her foot impatiently. When it was finally her turn, she approached the counter with an exaggerated eye roll. "Karen, I'll have a large caramel macchiato with almond milk and an extra shot. And since you made me wait, it should be free." "Me, I'm sorry, but I can't give you a free drink. If you have a punch card." "Karen, cutting me off, this is ridiculous. I'm a regular customer. Don't you know how business works? You're supposed to reward loyalty." "Me, we do have a loyalty program, if you'd like to start a punch card." "Karen, I don't want a stupid punch card. The cafe across the street gives me free drinks all the time because they appreciate my business." By this point, other customers were watching. The tall man who had been behind her in line seemed particularly attentive, his body language alert. "Me, I'm sorry, but I don't have the authority to give out free drinks. I'd be happy to charge you for the macchiato or offer you our daily special, which is $1 off today." Karen's face turned red. She leaned over the counter, getting uncomfortably close to my face. "Karen, get me your manager, now." "Me, my manager isn't in until noon. I'm the shift lead right now, and I'm telling you that I can't give you a free drink." "Karen, this is why businesses fail. You don't know how to treat valuable customers. I come here every week." The truth was, she'd been in maybe 6 times total, always demanded special treatment, and had never tipped a penny. But I kept my composure. Me, would you like the macchiato, or would you prefer something else? Karen, fine, make the macchiato. But this is the last time I'm coming to this dump. I rang her up, and she slapped her credit card on the counter. As I handed her the receipt, she crumpled it up and dropped it on the floor, staring at me as if daring me to say something. I moved to the espresso machine and started making her drink. The cafe had fallen uncomfortably quiet. I could feel everyone watching. My hands were shaking a bit. Confrontation always made me nervous, but I focused on making the drink correctly. When I finished, I placed it on the counter and called out her order. Me, large caramel macchiato for the next customer. She snatched it up without a thank you and took a sip. Then her face contorted. Karen, this is disgusting. What is wrong with you? I asked for almond milk. I was certain I'd used almond milk. I always double-checked for milk substitutions because of allergies. Me, I'm positive I used almond milk. If you'd like, I can remake it. Karen, you're incompetent. This is why you're working at a coffee shop instead of having a real job. That stung. I was working my way through college, pulling early morning shifts before classes and weekend shifts when I should be studying. This was my real job, and I took pride in it despite difficult customers like her. Me, I apologize if there's a problem with your drink. I'd be happy to remake it for you. Karen, I don't want you to remake it. I want a refund and a free drink for the trouble. Me, I can refund your purchase, but as I explained earlier, I can't give out free drinks. That's when she lost it. Her face turned an alarming shade of red, and she raised her voice to a level that made everyone in the cafe turn and stare. Karen, you little nobody, how dare you treat me like this? I'll have your job. Then, without warning, she threw the hot macchiato directly at me. I didn't have time to react. The hot liquid splashed across my chest and face, seeping through my shirt and burning my skin. I gasped in pain and shock. What happened next was a blur. The tall man who had been watching moved with surprising speed. In one fluid motion, he was behind Karen, grabbing her arms and pinning them behind her back. She screamed in outrage. Karen, get your hands off me. Do you know who I am? Tall man, I'm an off-duty police officer, and you're under arrest for assault. The cafe erupted in chaos. Karen was screaming that she was the victim, that I had made her drink wrong on purpose, that the officer was hurting her. Another customer, a nursing student, came behind the counter to help me. My skin was red and starting to blister in spots where the hot coffee had hit me. Nursing student, you need to run cold water over those burns right away. She helped me to the sink while the off-duty officer called for backup on his phone, still restraining the thrashing Karen. Karen, this is ridiculous. I didn't assault anyone. It was just coffee. Tall man, hot coffee is a weapon when you throw it at someone. You could have caused serious burns. Karen, she deserved it. She was being rude to me. The officer looked her straight in the eye. Tall man, ma'am, I watched this entire interaction. The only person being rude was you. When the uniformed officers arrived, they took statements from me and several witnesses. The cafe's security camera had captured the whole incident, which made things easier. The nursing student had examined my burns and confirmed they were mostly first degree, with a small patch of second-degree burn on my chest where the coffee had been hottest. The officers informed me that Karen was being charged with assault. I later learned that this wasn't her first run-in with the law. She had a history of similar incidents at other businesses. My boss arrived shortly after hearing what happened and immediately sent me to urgent care. The burns weren't severe enough to require hospitalization, but they were painful and left me unable to work for several days. My boss not only paid for my medical care, but also my missed shifts. The story spread quickly through our regular customers. For weeks afterward, people came in specifically to check on me and leave extra generous tips. One regular even started a small fundraiser to help with my textbooks for the upcoming semester, saying it was the least they could do after what I'd endured. As for Karen, she ended up pleading guilty to assault charges. The judge sentenced her to community service and anger management classes. Plus, she had to pay for my medical expenses and lost wages. I also found out she'd been banned from 3 other coffee shops in the area for similar behavior. The off-duty officer became a regular at our shop. He always orders a simple black coffee and leaves a $5 tip. Sometimes he brings his partner, and they sit by the window, keeping a protective eye on the place. It's been 6 months since the hot coffee incident, as we now call it. My burns healed without scarring, though I still flinch slightly when handling extra hot drinks. The cafe installed a panic button under the counter, not just because of Karen, but because the incident made my boss realize how vulnerable service workers can be. I'm still working at the cafe while finishing my degree. The tips are better than ever, and I've gained a new appreciation for the community we've built here. Most customers are wonderful people who treat us with respect and kindness. They've shown me that for every entitled Karen in the world, there are dozens of decent human beings who will stand up for what's right when it matters. And yes, we still have a punch card system. Buy 10 drinks, get 1 free. No exceptions, not even for regulars. Story 2. 8 months pregnant and still working full-time as a nurse at Memorial Hospital wasn't easy. My ankles had swollen to the size of grapefruits, my back ached constantly, and I was always exhausted. But I needed to keep working until the very end to maximize my maternity leave after the baby arrived. My husband and I had been trying for 3 years to have a child. We went through 2 miscarriages before this pregnancy finally stuck. Every day that passed with my baby still growing inside me felt like a miracle, especially after what we'd been through. The doctors called me a geriatric pregnancy at 37 years old, which didn't exactly boost my confidence, but everything had been progressing normally so far. I had cut my hours from 12-hour shifts to 8-hour shifts at the hospital, but still found myself completely drained by the end of each workday. The pregnancy had been rougher than I expected. Severe morning sickness that lasted well into the afternoon, sciatic pain shooting down my legs, and heartburn that kept me up most nights. I was grateful for every minute this baby stayed healthy inside me, but I couldn't deny pregnancy was taking a serious toll on my body. That Tuesday afternoon, I was heading to the local grocery store after my shift. We needed a few essentials, and I figured I'd pick them up on my way home, rather than asking my husband to go out later. The parking lot was fairly full, typical for a weekday afternoon when people stopped by after work. I circled around once, relieved when I spotted an open, parent with child, parking spot near the entrance. I carefully maneuvered my sedan into the spot, taking my time. Getting in and out of the car had become quite the production lately. I grabbed my purse and was about to open my door when a red SUV pulled up directly behind me, blocking me in. A woman in her 50s with highlighted blonde hair styled in an angled bob jumped out, marching toward my car with purpose. Her face was locked in a scowl as she aggressively motioned for me to roll down my window. Already feeling my heart rate increasing, I pressed the button to lower my window. "Woman, excuse me. Are you aware this is a parent with child parking spot?" I looked down at my very obvious baby bump, then back at her. Me, yes, I'm aware. Woman, well, I don't see any children with you. These spots are reserved for parents with children, not pregnant women. You're being incredibly selfish taking spots meant for people struggling with kids. I took a deep breath, trying to keep my composure. Pregnancy hormones had made my emotions unpredictable, and I didn't want to burst into tears or lose my temper in a grocery store parking lot. Me, ma'am, I'm 8 months pregnant. Most stores consider pregnant women eligible for these spots. It's difficult for me to walk long distances right now. She crossed her arms and leaned closer to my window. Woman, oh please, you don't look that pregnant to me. You're probably just putting on a show. I see women like you all the time, pretending to be pregnant or disabled to get special treatment. I was stunned. Did she really just accuse me of faking a pregnancy? Me, I assure you I'm not faking anything. I'm due in 4 weeks. If you'd like to feel the baby kicking, you're welcome to. Woman, don't be ridiculous. If you're really pregnant, where's your pregnancy parking permit? Me? There's no such thing as a pregnancy parking permit. Now, if you don't mind, I need to get into the store. Woman, I'm not moving my car until you move yours to a regular spot. I've got my granddaughter in my car waiting, and we deserve this spot. I glanced at her SUV and could see a young girl, maybe about 7 or 8, sitting in the passenger seat looking embarrassed. Me, your granddaughter looks perfectly capable of walking from a regular spot. I'm sorry, but I'm not moving. You're being unreasonable. Woman, how dare you? You have no idea what my granddaughter's capabilities are. You entitled young people think you deserve special treatment for everything. The irony of her calling me entitled wasn't lost on me. I was tired, my back hurt, and I just wanted to get my groceries and go home. I didn't have the energy for this confrontation. Me, ma'am, you're blocking me in, which is illegal. Please move your car so I can go into the store. Woman, not until you move to another spot. I'll wait here all day if I have to. I sighed, pulled out my phone, and started dialing. Woman, who are you calling? Me, the police. You're illegally blocking my car and harassing me. Woman, go ahead. The police will agree with me that you shouldn't be in this spot. I spoke with the dispatcher, explaining the situation as calmly as I could. The woman continued to rant, loud enough that I'm sure the dispatcher could hear her through the phone. I was told an officer would be there shortly. While we waited, a small crowd had gathered. An elderly man approached us. Elderly man, is everything okay here? Woman, no. This lady is using a parent parking spot when she doesn't have any children with her. Elderly man, she looks very pregnant to me. Woman, she's clearly faking it. Probably just fat and taking advantage. I felt my cheeks burn with humiliation. The elderly man looked shocked at her rudeness. Elderly man, young lady, are you all right? Me, I'm fine, thank you. Just waiting for the police to arrive since this woman won't move her car. Woman, the police will sort her out. These spots are for real parents with real children. About 15 minutes later, a police cruiser pulled into the lot. 2 officers stepped out and approached our cars. Officer 1, what seems to be the problem here? I explained my side first, since I had been the one to call. The woman repeatedly tried to interrupt me, but the officer held up his hand to stop her. Officer 1, ma'am, please wait your turn. When I finished, he turned to her. Officer 1, now, what's your side of the story? Woman, this woman is illegally parked in a parent with child spot. She doesn't have any children with her. She claims she's pregnant, but there's no way to verify that. And even if she is, these spots aren't for pregnant women. They're for parents with children. I'm here with my granddaughter, so we should get the spot. The officer looked at me, then at my very visible baby bump. Officer 1, ma'am, are you saying you don't believe this woman is pregnant? Woman, people fake pregnancies all the time for attention. And even if she is pregnant, that's not what these spots are for. Officer 1, actually, most establishments include expectant mothers in their parent parking policies. But more importantly, you're currently blocking in another vehicle, which is illegal. Woman, but she's parked illegally. Officer 1, actually, she's not. Now, I'm going to need to see your license, registration, and insurance, please. The woman's face suddenly shifted from righteous indignation to concern. She fumbled in her purse for her wallet. Woman, my license is right here, but my registration might be in the glove compartment. She handed over her license and hurried to her car. The second officer followed her while the first stayed with me. Officer 1, are you okay, ma'am? Do you need medical assistance? Me, no, I'm fine, just a bit shaken up. Officer 1, how far along are you? Me, 36 weeks, almost there. Officer 1, my wife just had our second child 3 months ago. I know how tough pregnancy can be. I'm sorry you had to deal with this. The second officer returned, speaking quietly to the first. They both looked serious. The first officer walked over to the woman, who was now looking much less confident. Officer 1. Ma'am, your vehicle registration expired 8 months ago. We're going to have to issue you a citation for that. Woman. What? That can't be right. I'm sure I renewed it. Officer 1. Your tags clearly show last year's date, and when we ran your plates, it confirmed the registration is expired. Additionally, you're getting a citation for illegally blocking another vehicle. Woman. This is ridiculous. I was just trying to enforce the rules. Officer 1. You don't have the authority to enforce parking rules, ma'am. That would be up to the store management or law enforcement. And since your vehicle's registration is significantly expired, we'll need to impound it. The woman's face turned bright red. Woman. Impound? You can't do that. My granddaughter is with me. Officer 1. I'm afraid we can. Your vehicle isn't legally allowed to be on the road. We'll give you and your granddaughter a ride home or to wherever you need to go. Woman. This is all your fault. She pointed at me, practically shaking with rage. Me. I'm not the one who decided not to renew my registration for 8 months. Officer 2. Ma'am, please lower your voice and step back. The woman's granddaughter had gotten out of the car and was standing nearby, looking mortified. Granddaughter, Grandma, please stop. You're embarrassing me. Woman, get back in the car. Officer 1. Actually, she'll need to come with us since we're impounding your vehicle. Woman. This is outrageous. I want to speak to your supervisor. Officer 1. You're welcome to file a complaint, but it won't change the fact that your registration is expired and you were illegally blocking another vehicle. Now, please collect your belongings from the car. The tow truck is on its way. As if on cue, a tow truck pulled into the parking lot. The woman's demeanor finally changed as the reality of the situation sank in. Woman. But I just need to get a few things from the store. Can't you give me a warning? Officer 1. I'm afraid not. 8 months is well beyond a warning period. The woman turned to me one last time. Woman, I hope you're happy with yourself. Me, I just wanted to buy some groceries. The officers helped the woman collect her things from the car, and she and her granddaughter got into the back of the police cruiser. As they drove away, the tow truck operator began hooking up her SUV. The elderly man who had intervened earlier approached me. Elderly man, are you sure you're okay? That was quite an ordeal. Me, I'm fine, thank you for your concern. Elderly man, people can be so unreasonable. My daughter just had her 3rd child, so I know how challenging pregnancy can be. Would you like me to help you shop? I was just heading in myself. Me, that's very kind of you, but I'll manage. Thank you, though. I finally made my way into the store, still a bit shaken, but feeling a strange sense of vindication. What had started as a simple trip to pick up a few groceries had turned into quite the dramatic event. All because someone couldn't believe a pregnant woman deserved to park in a spot designated for parents. As I grabbed a cart and headed for the produce section, I couldn't help but smile a little thinking about the woman trying to explain to her family why her car had been impounded. I rubbed my baby bump gently. Me. Well, little one, you're not even born yet, and you're already helping me stand up to bullies. You're going to be a strong kid, I can tell. The baby kicked as if in agreement, and I continued with my shopping, thankful that at least one entitled person had faced the consequences of their actions that day. Story 3. I moved into the Pinecrest community about 3 years ago after getting a promotion that finally allowed me to buy my own place. It was a modest 3-bedroom house with decent yard space, nothing fancy, but it was mine. The neighborhood was governed by a homeowners association, which I was aware of when I purchased the property. I read through all their rules carefully before signing anything. The HOA had regulations about lawn maintenance, holiday decorations, and exterior modifications, including paint colors, all pretty standard stuff. My next-door neighbor was a woman in her late 50s, who I soon learned was on the HOA board. From day one, she made it her mission to welcome me by pointing out every single HOA rule. She'd stop by unannounced to inform me that my garbage bins were visible from the street, or that my grass was half an inch too tall. At first, I tried to be friendly, thanking her for the reminders, but her visits became more frequent and her tone increasingly condescending. Last summer, I decided it was time to give my house a fresh coat of paint. The previous color was a dull beige that made the house look older than it was. I wanted something warmer and more inviting, so I settled on a soft sage green. I checked the HOA guidelines, which stated that exterior colors needed to be neutral or earth tones that harmonize with the natural surroundings. Sage green certainly fit that description. Being the rule follower I am, I submitted my color choice to the HOA for approval. 3 weeks later, I received written confirmation that my color choice was approved. I hired professionals to do the painting, and within a week, my house was transformed. It looked beautiful, subtle, but fresh, exactly what I had envisioned. The day after the painters finished, there was a sharp knock at my door. I opened it to find my neighbor standing there with her arms crossed, looking like she'd just bitten into a lemon. "Neighbor, what do you think you're doing?" "Me, excuse me?" "Neighbor, that color. It's completely inappropriate for this neighborhood. It stands out like a sore thumb." "Me, I got approval from the HOA before painting. The color complies with all guidelines." "Neighbor, well, I'm on the board, and I don't recall approving this. It's much too bright. You'll need to repaint it." "Me, I have the approval letter right here if you'd like to see it." I went to get the letter, but when I returned, she was already walking away, saying something about taking care of this properly. 2 days later, I received a notice in my mailbox stating that my house color had been reported as a violation and that I needed to attend the next HOA meeting to discuss the issue. The notice came from the HOA secretary, but I knew exactly who was behind it. At the meeting, my neighbor made a theatrical presentation about how my garish house color was lowering property values and disrupting the aesthetic harmony of the community. Several other board members looked uncomfortable as she spoke. When it was my turn, I simply presented my approval letter, signed by the HOA president and dated 3 weeks prior. HOA president: "Yes, I remember approving this. The color falls within our guidelines. I'm not sure why this is being brought up as an issue." My neighbor's face turned a shade of red that would definitely not have been HOA approved. Neighbor: "Well, clearly there was a mistake. That color is much brighter in reality than whatever sample was submitted. We need to reconsider." Another board member: "I drive by that house every day, and honestly, it looks fine to me. It's a subtle green, not neon or anything." Neighbor: "Fine. If the HOA won't enforce its own standards, I'll have to take this to the city. There are municipal codes about this sort of thing too, you know." The meeting moved on to other topics, and I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. The following week, I received a visit from a city inspector. Apparently, my neighbor had reported my house for violating city codes related to visual nuisances and non-conforming structures. The inspector was apologetic as he explained why he was there. "City inspector, sorry about this. We have to follow up on all complaints. Can I see your HOA approval for the paint color?" I showed him the letter, and he nodded as he made notes. "City inspector, everything seems in order here. Your color choice is well within both HOA and city guidelines. But since I'm here, I'm obligated to do a general inspection of the exterior." He walked around my property, occasionally stopping to make notes. When he finished, he thanked me for my time and left. I thought that was the end of it. 3 days later, I was in my front yard planting some flowers when I noticed the same city inspector at my neighbor's house. He was walking around with a clipboard, much as he had done at my property. My neighbor was following him, gesturing animatedly. Even from across the street, I could tell she was upset. Later that afternoon, there was another knock at my door. It was the HOA president. "HOA president, I wanted to apologize for the confusion about your house color. The board has confirmed that your paint job is fully compliant with our guidelines." Me: "Thank you, I appreciate that." HOA president: "There's something else you should know. Your neighbor's complaint to the city has backfired rather spectacularly." Me: "What do you mean?" HOA president: Well, when the city inspector came out to check your property, they found no violations. But they did observe several potential issues with your neighbor's property. Since they were already in the area, they decided to conduct an inspection there as well. Me and HOA president. It turns out her house color is actually not compliant. She painted it that brownish-yellow color 5 years ago without HOA approval. The previous board was more lax, so it slipped through. But the city also found several building code violations: an unpermitted sunroom addition, improper drainage that's directing water onto adjacent properties, and a fence that encroaches on the public right-of-way. I tried not to look too pleased by this information, but it was difficult. HOA president, the city has issued her several citations and is requiring that she bring everything up to code, including repainting her house. The HOA will also be issuing a formal violation notice for the unauthorized color. Me, I see. That's unfortunate for her. HOA president. Yes, well, perhaps it will be a learning experience. The board values residents who follow proper procedures, like you did. Have a good day. Over the next few weeks, my neighbor avoided me completely. No more surprise visits, no more complaints about my lawn or garbage bins. Then the workers arrived at her house. First, they had to dismantle part of her sunroom. Next came the drainage work, which tore up a section of her immaculately maintained garden. Finally, the painters arrived. I was working from home when I heard the sound of pressure washers next door. Looking out my window, I saw workers prepping her house for painting. The process took nearly 2 weeks, much longer than my paint job had taken. I later learned from another neighbor that this was because the city required her to strip the old paint completely due to some issue with lead content in the older layers. The final result was a pale top color about as bland and inoffensive as a house color could be. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. One evening, about a month after her house was repainted, I was taking out my garbage when I saw her in her driveway. We made eye contact, and for a moment, I thought she might turn away. Instead, she walked over to me. Neighbor, I suppose you think this is funny. Me, what do you mean? Neighbor, my house. The fines. All of it. I was just trying to maintain neighborhood standards, and now I've had to spend over $20,000 on repairs and fines. Me? I didn't report you to anyone. You reported me, remember? Neighbor? Yes, but you must have said something to the inspector to make him look at my property. Me? I didn't. I just showed him my approval letter, as I showed you. Whatever he found at your house had nothing to do with me. Neighbor, well, I find that hard to believe. I've lived here for 15 years. No one ever had a problem with my house before. Me, maybe because you didn't draw attention to code enforcement by reporting your neighbors for imaginary violations. Her face flushed again, and for a second, I thought she might yell at me. Instead, she took a deep breath. Neighbor, the HOA board is having elections next month. I've been a member for 7 years, but I'm not running again. Just thought you should know. And with that, she turned and walked back to her blandly colored, now fully code-compliant house. The following spring, I planted a garden in my front yard, all native plants that required minimal watering and maintenance. When it bloomed, it created a beautiful complement to my sage green house. Several neighbors commented on how nice it looked. The HOA even featured it in the community newsletter as an example of environmentally conscious landscaping. My next-door neighbor never spoke to me again beyond the occasional curt nod. But I did notice that she stopped reporting other neighbors for minor infractions. Sometimes, the most valuable lessons are the ones that hit us right in the wallet. As for me, I learned that following the rules doesn't mean you have to let others walk all over you. Standing your ground calmly and letting the facts speak for themselves can be much more effective than confrontation. And sometimes, karma works through city building codes and HOA regulations. Who would have thought?